Alrighty, now let's move on from Sherlock's magnificent stare and make some observations and conclusions about this. We look at these two animal tracks. Our observations are two really long feeties, two round feeties. This guy seems to have claws. That's our observations. This guy definitely seems to be walking towards the 1 o'clock position. I'm not sure if this one's going this way or that way because I don't know an awful lot about these footprints. There's my observations. Now, would I be safe assuming one of these is a predator and one of these is prey? Is there anything that you would feel safe about that? And could I conclude that this is a dog named Toby and he's got a red handkerchief on and he's been painted to look like a zebra? How far can we extend these observations? And extending, there's a word called extrapolate. A pole is like a marker post or a dot on a graph. Extrapolate means to go beyond the poles, go past the end of the fence, go past any part where you have markers and go out into clear blue territory with it. So to extrapolate is to go beyond the data. The right side prints showed claw marks. Predators have claws to grab their prey, so this might be a fox. The left prints have a long set of prints and a short ones like the front and rear legs of a rabbit. No claws are showing, so I think it is a rabbit. Is that safe? Also, the bunny prints are turning towards the fox prints. So this is an unusual bunny that is capable of attacking a predator. Therefore, I can reasonably assume that this mutated bunny has fangs and claws that retract like a cat's. Could you challenge this conclusion? Can you see where I've gone beyond the data set way too far? Call that going out on a limb. You go too far beyond the data set and you start making ridiculous conclusions. Now let's look at astronomy. When we look at objects from Earth, we have to make assumptions about their composition strictly from pictures until the modern age, now that we have satellites. So what can we safely infer from photographs alone? So clearly, oh, there's a lake. And there's no vegetation showing. So what I think this was taken in the high Canadian Arctic, and this is just a brief moment in summer where a lake melts and there seems to be a river in front of the mountains. Is that a valid conclusion from this data? And this one here, this is so awesome. They've taken a boat and they put another one on the boat upside down. That is just the coolest boat I've ever seen. It's like two ships glued together. And I already talked to you about this, that a mirage was helped trigger the Vietnam War in 1964. And it was called the Gulf of Tonkin incident. I remember that because I was 4 months old. So you got to remember, observations are one thing. Making an inference or conclusions from them, you got to be on the lookout for people going too far with their observations. Now let's look at the moon. When the moon was first seen by people, they thought these areas, these dark maria, were seas on the moon. They're actual oceans. Okay? By the 20th century, we knew they couldn't be water, so it was proposed that they were large seas of dust that an astronaut could sink in. Finally, when we landed, we learned that they were large plateaus of lava, solid rock. The lower picture down here is a lava tube. We find them on Earth, which is conclusive evidence the dark areas are in fact cold lava, not heaps of dust. This tube here is 50 kilometers across. No meteor punches a hole like that. They leave marks like this. That is where a volcano once sat on the moon. So the observations of these dark patches could be water, could be dust. You keep going, but as more observations come in, you go, no, the first two are wrong now. And this is where we're going next. Our two solar wingmen, Venus and Mars. This is what we can see from Earth. We need to make what observations can we make about these three planets, and what does it let us go to? What are the safest conclusions we can extend to on these three planets beyond what you see on screen right now? How far can you go before a person goes, you're ridiculous? So, could I say Mars is red? So it's rusty, it's an oxide. You might agree with that. And quite clearly, this patch over here are fields of wheat, and there are people called the Natiri, and they have big giant houses that they live in the trees. Like, where can I go from this before you start to disbelieve me and go, you can't conclude that from that? So you see, it's taken me a long time to get you here, but really the question is quite simple.